So, back in the early 90s, my grandma bought this creepy doll home from a garage sale that you could ask questions and it would respond in oddly specific ways. My mother once asked if it was ready to go outside to play and it responded, "I don't have my shoes on." We placed it on a shelf and things would move when you weren't looking, and it'd giggle and its head would seem to track you as you moved through the room. After a few days of this, we all got weirded out and pulled the battery cover off to find the compartment was completely empty. Calling the number on the label got us in contact with some company up north that swore they didn't make a doll like that. A few days go by and weird stuff kept happening, to the point where we locked it in the bottom drawer of the gun cabinet in my grandparents' living room. The last thing we heard before we sold the cabinet and pushed it outside was the doll say, "It's dark in here." We never knew who took the cabinet or what happened with the doll after that. I always assumed it was still in there. I was working in a grocery store back when I was in high school. I'd work after school until we closed around 8:30 p.m. It was a mom and pop store, so a specific crowd would come around, including those who seemed to be on the less fortunate side of the spectrum when it came to money. This older gentleman would always come in to buy alcohol and cigarettes. He always dressed in the same clothes, looked dirty, and didn't have any teeth. One shift, I'm preparing to close up the store after I rang him up. He was a last customer, and I really wanted to get back home. Counting my register, walking the small store, getting ready to leave when one of my co-workers I was working with yells at me not to leave and locks the automatic door next to my register. Now my register is directly 3 feet away from a side down where we can exit to take out trash and whatnot, and an electric door next to it where customers would enter and exit. Apparently the man who I rung up last was waiting outside of the door directly next to me, waiting for me to exit the store, and my co-workers saw him crouching against it, hiding against the icebox on the camera. We all waited there for 5 minutes, but he didn't leave. So my co-workers, who were at the time all larger men, walked me out of the front door instead so we could walk all the way around to get to the parking lot. I can just imagine if they didn't see him on the camera and I walked out to my car alone, he would have followed me, or even worse. This may not seem too scary, but I was around 16 or so. I'm only 5 foot and it was quite dark outside because it was winter. Luckily I never saw him come to the store again while I worked there. I'm not sure if I ever saw him in town either. I hope I never do. So for context, I, 23 female, and my husband, 24 male, we will call him A, live with his grandfather. We have been living together for almost 6 years. The house we live in isn't anything special. It's a simple 3-bed, 2-bathroom on about 2 acres of land. We have had a few creepy experiences here and there. Some occurred during a game we play with a group of friends. We cover all windows and turn off every light and then play hide and seek. Yeah, I know, we are all adults, but we had to find something to do in this terrible little town that wouldn't get us hurt, arrested, or killed. Well, one night we all got ready to play and it was my turn to seek. I finished counting and began to make my way blindly through the house. We start in our living room, which leads right into our kitchen, straight through our kitchen in a big room that leads to our backyard. To the right of entering our kitchen was the entrance to the hallway. At the beginning of the hallway there is the first bedroom, then in the middle there is a bathroom. At the end of the hall there is mine and A's room, and right across from our room is Grandpa's room. Details of the house are important. As I enter the kitchen, I hear a light muffled laughter, and then I could see a shadow move across the kitchen floor and stand upright in the center of the doorway going to the back room. As I throw my arms on his shoulder, there was nothing there. I could clearly see his shadow right there, but now it's gone. Thinking he was messing with me, I called out to him and told him I found him. So it was his turn. I heard his footsteps in the hallway coming to the kitchen, and A comes in there. "How did you find me? I was in the hallway and you never came in there." I felt a bit of dread in my gut because hearing his footsteps in the hall made me realize that if he hurried to the hall to get away from me, I would have heard him. He went ahead and chose to be it anyway, and we continued to play. Not long after I hid and A finished counting, A's cousin R started laughing loudly and asked A why he was walking like a crab. A once again walked into the kitchen from the living room and asked what he was talking about, and R freaked out because whatever was walking towards him wasn't A, and it was now gone. We were all freaked out except A. He thought we were messing with him until his next turn. He stopped counting midway through and turned the living room light on. He looked freaked the hell out and swore that as he was counting, something started to crawl across the floor towards him. We stopped playing after that. I know it's not that scary, but things in our house have gotten worse.